Like, I'm gonna cry already. Mommy needs a break. Mommy's sitting down and taking a break.
You're B+, A- territory, in my opinion.
Sometimes they drop the F-bomb and scare the shit out of it.
But hey, this is what just happened. This is what mommy did. That's not okay. I'm sorry. Where it's like, oh, I missed that eye contact moment. You know, like
Yeah.
Kids don't tell you they're having a hard day. They just ask you if you can play. Jeannette, my love, welcome to the podcast. The very informal, road trippy podcast.
Just one.
We're going to talk about parental guilt. Something I feel no connection to whatsoever, but JK. Let's talk about some feelings of parental guilt and what you do, what I do, or what you think I do, or what I think you do to deal with them.
Okay.
I think first, let's talk about some of the things that like feel spark the most parental guilt that you think of.
Like, I'm gonna cry already.
That's okay. You can cry on this podcast. You can cry in any video. You can cry at any time, as you know.
I think the biggest one for me is just like wanting space, or like even this morning, like when you didn't come out, you know, to help me.
Whoa.
No, you were just sleeping longer than usual, and I was up earlier than usual.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just 3 hours of chaos, and after breakfast and everything, I finally made a coffee, and I was just sitting in the car, and I was just like, Mommy, can you play with me? I'm like, no, Mommy's taking a break. Mommy needs a break. Mommy's sitting down and taking a break. And then he's like, oh, can you play with Cairo? And I'm like, no, Mommy's still taking a break. And I don't know, just I feel bad. I feel guilty, you know? Like,
because
like, you know, everyone tells us like, oh, these times are fleeting, right? Like, they're not going to be small forever. We're not going to be their favorite person forever. We're not going to be the ones they want to play with and share everything with and show everything to forever. And like, I want to play it. I want to see it. And I want to be that person every time. And it's a lot.
It is a lot. This makes me think of a question. Do you think it's possible to, like, is there somebody out there that answers that call all the time and they still maintain the house and the relationships and everything else outside of that at a high level?
I'm sure there's somebody. I'm sure. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's somebody is obviously an outlier. It's not like somebody comes to mind, oh yeah, this individual.
Yeah, I don't know anyone personally, but you know, I'm sure there's somebody, and I bet you it's somebody who's maybe not the mother, or you know, like they're just maybe, I don't know, maybe like a nanny or someone who's paid to, or like a nanny, you know, who's just like a set amount of time, or just, you know, doesn't have more personal or like obligation to the child than to just play with them and feed them, you know?
Yeah. And how do you deal, since this one's so fresh? You do more than cry, but I don't want to speak to what you do. What else do you do to deal when you have these moments?
Oh, man. Sometimes I drop the F-bomb and scare the shit out of it. I'd say, fuck. And then Nisha goes, Mommy, you scared me. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. But Mommy needs a break. And then I do what I do as an adult and try to calm my emotions and control my emotions and take a break.
Okay, all of that is true, yes. But that's dealing with overwhelm. That's not dealing with guilt. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? That's when you're feeling overwhelmed.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's another source of my guilt. Is like when I get pushed to like the overstimulated, you know? And yeah,
I hear you. So
the days that I can't, or I can, but I don't.
Yeah.
adult with my emotions.
Yeah.
But what do I do?
What you do when you deal with your guilt, you talk about it, you address it, you apologize, you communicate. You cry through it, but you communicate with the kids.
Yeah.
You talk to them about, hey, this is what just happened. This is what mommy did. That's not okay. I'm sorry. You apologize. You tell them, what it should look like. And you also tell them, hey, this is what I'm working on or what I'm going to try to do next time, and that's...
I do. And then when I tell you about it when you're not there, I cry all over it.
Yes, you do. You absolutely do. But I think that's all... Actually, forget what I think for a moment. Put that on hold. What do you think about how you deal? Bless you.
Bless you.
What do you think about with how you deal with the guilt?
How I deal with it. How do I think I deal with it? I don't know. I feel like if I would grade myself, it's like a C+.
Okay, and just to clarify, this is how you deal with the guilt. This isn't the how frequently or how intense I blow up or how I do this or don't do that. This is like the deed has been done, but like just dealing with that guilt that you feel for whatever experience you had. How would
I don't
you grade
know.
yourself?
I don't know. I don't ever feel good about it.
Yeah.
And then that just feeds into the cycle of the guilt. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, from my perspective, I think that again, the distinguishing difference here from like the blow up moments or the I'm not playing with you right now moments or whatever it is that leads to the guilty feeling, that's the distinguishment here. Whatever happened, the guilt that arises, the way you deal with it, I would definitely not grade you a C. I would grade you at the very lowest a B, like solid B, maybe a B+. And the reason is, yes, there's room for improvement, but I think that you communicate it, you own it to all parties involved, first of all, as well as, like you said, when I'm not there, I get to be your accountability buddy. So you share it with me when you could just not tell me about it, right? And it's just between you guys or whatever. So you speak about it, you cry about it, you feel it, and you also correct it. And it's not something, in my opinion, especially, you have your core operating system, and everybody does. So you have your things that are like, here's my triggers, here's my responses when I'm triggered, and so on, just like everybody does. But you're also trying to counteract that, and you're trying to update your operating system. And I think you do a really good job at communicating it, pointing it out, like, hey, there's these bugs that I see in my operating system. Let me try to figure out a way to combat that. And that's something that I think you do really well. And you implement right away. So you're like, okay, you space out the times of whether it's a F-bomb that you drop or whatever it is, you space those out because you're a lot more aware, you're addressing it, and you're finding ways to deal with it. So I don't think a C at all. I would say a B at the lowest. But realistically, I'd probably say like a B+. You're B+, A- territory, in my opinion. That's with dealing with guilt. Again, not saying that you can't, improve that area or improve other areas of those blow-up moments or whatever it is that lead to the guilty feeling.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Thomas.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So one of I'm trying to think of the biggest guilty feeling that I feel with them it's probably twofold right now. And there's phases of this that go in and out. Sometimes it's something different, whatever. But the core ones for me, it's one, when I'm just sitting on my phone, whether I'm working or not, being on my phone, right? Whether it's like, hey, creating this or dealing with whatever aspect of business. Even if it's legitimate reason for being on the phone and it's not doom scrolling, just being on the phone in their presence is like one of my big guilty feelings, and I continually still do that, like a lot, right? That's a huge guilty feeling for me. The challenge that I have is balancing like self-employment and all the things that come with that and having to work all the time. I mean, not all the time, but having to work at some point, sometime, and then working from home where I'm right there. So not creating the separation and just leaving and handling all the stuff in this block. It's like, you know, kind of ever present. So that's a big one for me where I feel guilt, where it's like, I know these little moments where I need to be even just engaged from a distance, where it's like they're playing by themselves and then they just look up to me for that split second. You know, where it's like, oh, I missed that eye contact moment, you know, like that's
like the connection.
Yeah, that's a big one for me right now. And then that's also why a lot of my focus in trying to build out the systems in the business right now, so that I can step back from the phone or from having to handle the creation of every little aspect of the business and stuff. Like, that's my focus, is how do I offload this so that I can be more present that way. So that is one huge guilty thing that's like continually showing up for me right now. And then another one is, I would say lately it would be playtime. When it's like the playtime desires have gone way up, especially with the 3.5-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, they've gone way up in the last 2 weeks, I would say. And so it's a higher demand with the same amount of time in the day and the same amount of spread of work and all these things. The demand is higher, and so it's like, I absolutely want to answer that call. I absolutely want to be there, because you know the quote that I was sharing this the other day with a guy at the park with Britt. Did you smother him? But I was sharing this with another father. We were at the park hanging out. The kids were playing, and I was telling him how I came across a quote even before I had kids, and this quote has stuck with me, which was, my brother shared this quote with me, actually. Ryan shared this with me, which was, kids don't tell you they're having a hard day, they just ask you if you can play. And I was like, that's so good. This is before I even have kids, right? So that lives inside me. And so every time he's like, oh, Daddy, can you play? Daddy, can you play? Daddy, can you play? And I'm like, not right now, or hey, I have to do this or whatever. I'm like, I like that quote. You know, it eats away at me. It's like, I also can kind of tell, I'm pretty attuned to if he's actually having a hard time versus...
I think we both realize when it's like, okay, we need to play.
Yeah. But that's at what threshold? You know, because when we realize it, is it that intense for us or that intense for him? Or is it at a higher intensity, but he's trying his best to just manage it? So it's actually at a higher intensity than he's showing. I mean, he's 3.5, so probably not. But, you know, it's like...
I mean, we see his signs. We know his signs now, you know?
Mm-hmm. True.
So I think we catch it earlier. You know, even his naps. Now he goes down for naps daily now. So it's we know his signs when he's tired, you know, like that.
Yeah, but dealing with that guilt is probably my bigger challenge. I haven't really had blow up moments with him where I feel like, you know, man, I feel guilty about ooh, I overdid that, you know, I overcooked that. I haven't had, I mean, it's not Adams. I haven't had a blow up or a big thing with him or either of them, but especially the 3-year-old, in a long time. I have, for sure. The last one I'm kind of recalling would be, I would guess, I don't know, 9 months ago maybe, where it was like, oh man, I went overkill on that. You know, whatever it is, the punishment or the shouting or, you know, stern, whatever that explosion would show up ooh, that did not meet the scenario. Mm-hmm. But, you know, one of the things that's helped so much with that lately, and I think it's also helping him, is the first problem, small problem. Exactly. Yeah, the first question is when he's having a hard time or he's expressing emotions in a way which we want him to do, and it doesn't matter what happens, whether it's to him or to me, where the first question is this a big problem or a small problem? And that has been one of the most helpful things, because it's also good for me, as an adult, you know, obviously really good for kids. hey, this thing just happened, whatever it is, right? Like he dumped a bunch of stuff, spilled a bunch of stuff, or he being the police of his little brother.
Yeah.
You know, the baby knocks down, you know, he climbed on the table, spilled my coffee, and Nisha's like, she's like shouting. He's like, Daddy, he just did this. Oh, and he's like treating it like a huge deal. And so the first question is like, hey, is this a big problem or small problem? And you could see the switch in him. He's like so intense, and he goes, small problem. And I go, right, what can we do? Well, we can make another coffee. And then he helps me clean up, and, you know, we make a coffee together, and that's it. That's one of the most helpful things, I think, lately, that, ooh, you want that treadmill?
I know. I was just thinking that as it was passing by.
That's one of the most helpful things, though, to kind of deal with that stuff. And I just feel like, yeah, I haven't had a blow-up moment that I felt was out of the ordinary for meeting the situation where it's at. For the last one I could really, really recall is like, yeah, I would say like 9 months ago or something, where it was like blow up and then like crushed, because it was like, man, that was way over the top for the situation, and I owe an apology for sure, and you know, like all that.
Yeah, I haven't had to apologize in a while, so I haven't felt that. I'm getting better, and I think too, just helping him name his emotions, or even just sharing my emotions, like, oh, I'm sorry, Mommy is frustrated.
Yeah.
I can go, why? You know, right? And I'm like, oh, well, because this is that. And he goes, oh, okay, it's okay, Mommy.
Yeah, you know? I know, and
then it makes it worse.
Because he's consoling you.
Yeah.
He's like, it's okay, Mommy, you just blew up and scared the shit out of baby. You terrified us, but it's okay. And you're just like,
yeah, and then he's like understanding. He's like, oh, okay. And I'm like,
But the worst to me is one of the best gifts of kids, which is them being our mirror. One of the worst is when I see him do the same thing that I did, like, hey, you know, like the quick, like the quick shout or something like that.
Remember, like he's when he goes, Cairo, and I'm like, that's me. I'm like, okay, let me work on that. So like, yeah, like when we see him, I'm like, man, we're like little kids are becoming people by watching us, and it's like, man, like it's so real when you actually see them do the shit you're doing, and you're like, damn.
That was it. The coffee thing.
Yeah.
When I came out, you know, baby's on the table, and
well, I mean, there's he's climbing the chair, and then he's climbing the table, and he's going coffee. So those are all three things that he's like, oh shit.
He's like alerts going off, but I hear him say, like, one of my things when it's like, I'm feeling it up here, but I'm trying to respond down here, is I'm like, the guttural sigh, and I go, ay, 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 right? And he did that. He did that with the coffee thing, and it's like, dude,
I like when he does that.
This is not your problem. First of all, this is
my brother.
It's like, dude, you're just a kid, and this is my problem. This is not your problem. But it's that stuff, like the mirroring, where it's like, oh man, you know. But you know, what else is there? Honestly, like in the grand scheme of things, when you think of like, okay, this is the trait that you see him exhibiting of yours, where it's like dealing with the frustration or whatever, like what else does he have that makes you go, oh man, that's from me, and I don't really like that, truthfully?
Okay. I love it, and it's frustrating at times when I'm in a rush to get things done, but when he's neat freak and organizing and wants to clean everything and put everything in its spot, I'm like, no, just put everything in the box. Mommy, no. I'm like, okay, I did this to you. Okay.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. He is, for those unfamiliar with the situation, the 3-year-old is very good at cleaning up. Like, really good.
Loves it.
Loves to clean up, puts everything back where it belongs, and that's early on, you know, when he's probably 1.5, about the baby's age here. She's, you know, working on it, cleaning. Okay, it's time to clean up, and like helping him, showing where stuff goes. She's the clean one in this relationship, and organized and all that stuff. So there's so many times we'll point out, like, that's your son. Because he's just so meticulous in how he's putting stuff in certain places and making sure it's all cleaned up and all that. So there's so many times where we watch him do it and we're just like, that's your kid, you know? Like, that's definitely not my trait. But the trade-off with that is when you're in a hurry, try to get somewhere, try to go somewhere, and whatever it is that he's doing, he's singing his songs. He's humming happily and just putting stuff in the place where it belongs, and you're like, no, it's fine, just leave it, we'll get it later.
That looks cool.
That looks beautiful.
What is that, a ridge?
Yeah, like a ridge. That's very cool. Yeah, so that's one of the things that,
yeah. And then, I mean, I would say, like, just like the blow-ups where, like, again, I haven't had to apologize in a while, so, like, I know it hasn't happened, but yeah, usually it's just like when he'll, like, yell or, like, he'll lose his temper. But, like, that was my big thing. I'm like, oh, I want to change that.
Yeah. One of the things that it's like the trade-off. You know, we said very early on that we want them to be able to negotiate.
Oh, yeah.
We want them to be able to have conversation and have a debate and be open to challenging
and say no
and challenging authority and challenging why are we doing this instead of just blindly following along, right? So that's one of the traits that when I see him exhibit it, I'm like proud of that.
Hey, Nija, it's 90 degrees outside. Take off your sweater. No, it's my body. It is your body, okay?
Yes, it's your body, but it's our responsibility to make sure that you're healthy, you're okay.
But it's my body.
It's like, you don't need mittens, a scarf, and a puffy when it's 90 degrees and beaming sun. Just let me do it my way, how I want to do it. So the trade-off, this is one of the mirrored things that I see where I'm just like, I love that about him, that he will debate, he will challenge things, but it's also like, man.
Go to timeout. For this money? Or this song?
Yeah, so that's one of the ones where I'm like,
I love it though. Autonomy and some independence and a little fight.
But true.
I love it and hate it.
I know, but the trade-off is like, then what happens? You know, is this something that we've built in a little too early? Is this something that he's going to be able to take advantage of so many other people because he can negotiate, you know? And he's going to, like, we have to make sure that we train it ethically and the morals and build those in, because that is, it's a challenging thing. But that's one of the ones for me where I'm just like, you know, I don't feel guilty about it because it's still a decision that I'm happy that, and I think we err on, like, that's what we did early on that I think we did pretty well, was pick the categories of raising these kids and what we want to err on the side of. So with co-sleeping, you know, or coddling them, like holding them when they're crying or whatever it is, like, do we want to baby them, so to speak, or do we want to be stern so they're really independent early on and all that, right? And going through all these different categories of parenting styles where we set that sort of framework for us, our values, our system, was, I think, one of the best things that we could have done. And part of that is like, I would rather love them, hold them, coddle them early on, especially in these early developing years, and then kind of, once they develop a lot more logic and reasoning and everything, be able to reason with them and, you know, create more of the independent distance and all that stuff. So there's just different areas where,
well, I mean, like, a lot of the research that we've listened to and, like, come across to,
yeah,
right, like, this is what they need.
Yes. Well, that's also why I think, you know, I grade you very high on the guilt bit of how you process it, how you deal with it, because, like, the Gottmans, right? And you remember the podcast we listened to on Diary of a CEO with the Gottmans, where one of the biggest indicators of a successful relationship isn't having no conflict, it's how you reconcile the conflict.
Oh, yeah. I think another thing I heard from them, it's not who you match the best with, it's who you fight the best with.
Yeah.
Because again, you can argue and fight healthily,
yeah,
and then come to a resolution. Like, that's the person that's better for you.
Yeah, I think of that obviously like with us,
Yeah.
but also with the kids. Because you can debate, we can argue, we can have a conversation, you can challenge all of this stuff, and we can do it in a healthy way, right? But right now, you need to get your ass out of the street. Like,
well, I think he knows too, and he's beginning to understand more that a lot, and like I reinforce it. I'm pretty sure you do too, but like I know we reinforce. You know, a lot of the times we tell you no, or a lot of the times that we are like strict or we yell at you is for safety.
Safety concern. Yeah.
Like, and so you need to listen the first time, and you know, like this is when there's consequences for your actions. Like if you don't listen the first time, when it's like putting you or someone else in danger.
Yeah.
Like mostly him or baby right now, but yeah, for the most part, I mean, it's like he's just not listening, or it's a safety concern. Is usually the consequences, right?
Yes, for sure. All right, let's talk. That's guilt. I think we covered. Actually, let's talk a little bit about what's missing that you think you could either insert into our family, into our relationship, into your individual experience parenting, or you can remove that will help with parental guilt.
I think just normalizing. I mean, I come across so many things where it's like, oh, let's normalize, self-care. This, I'm like reading it and reading all these articles, listening to podcasts. I'm like, fuck yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, it totally makes sense. I'll send it to you. Oh, I'm down for this. And you're all, hell yeah, I got you.
Yep.
And then when it comes down to you, go take a day off. I'm like, oh, but like, okay, I'll be right back. Like, I'll be, 20 minutes. And you're like, just enjoy it. I'm like, no, because I got to do this. And I don't know. Like, it's hard, I think. I don't know. It's just hard to disassociate. So I think just normalizing, like, it's okay to feel guilty, and that, like, we don't have to feel guilty, for wanting a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know at the same time, like, I want to remind myself, like, even today, like, it's just using the words, right? The language, like, oh, mommy's taking a body break. I will play with you in a little bit. Let me take a body break.
Yeah.
Like, mommy needs time to herself. Then I will play with you,
Yeah.
And it's like, that's like, if he needs that time to himself or whatever, or if they are ever at that point where they're like, dude, I don't want to do shit. Like, leave me alone. I want them to be able to be like, I need a body break, or I want time to myself.
Yeah.
And then I'll be back. I'm taking a break. I'll be back. So I think that's like the one thing where I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm setting an example.
Uh-huh.
I'm doing this for you kids. But
Mommy's out having her 4th spa day this week for you.
Self-care, babies.
Yeah, that is one thing I wish. If I could have a wish for you, it would be that you would more freely accept the invitation to go and just have you time.
Yeah, well,
It would be that you would just be like, go have a girls trip, go have a spa. I know the girls trip because you're still breastfeeding and all that stuff. I get that, but
oh yeah, once that's happening next year.
yes,
Probably a couple times.
yes, yes.
But it's also like, for one, with like the 3-year-old, right? Like, it was our firstborn, so it's like, oh, how do I get away? And plus, like, I miss them.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, I want to go away for a weekend, but like, come with me and just stay.
Yes.
Stay there, and I'll see you at night. Like,
yes, but which I get, I totally get, but you've also had those experiences. That's what's interesting to me is you've had the experiences where you are away, you have your weekend or whatever, right? And then you come back, and the recharge that you feel and the depth of the connection and how you show up and all that stuff, even if it's just, go have a day to yourself, right? You've had that experience where you come back and you're just like, oh man, you just feel more alive and more involved and more connected in the relationship with the kids. But
like crying thinking about how much I miss them when I'm gone.
yeah, this is as I travel for work, this is the feeling. These are the feelings that I'm dealing with. I think that's also partly why I stay so busy. Like when I when I go for work. It's like, okay, let me record this podcast. Let me hop on here. Let me do this. It's like,
Yeah. So you don't have to do that when you're at home.
so I don't have to do it when I'm home, but also like keep me distracted from getting in my feels too heavily, you know? Like, I don't remember what trip
It was like a few ago, but it was like hard, right?
Yeah.
It was like hard to leave because like he was just
crying. He didn't want me to leave.
And there was
I didn't want to leave.
A few of those back to back.
Yeah, and so it's like I leave and it's like, you know, tears and the pain of just like not your tears, my tears.
For once.
Yeah, my tears and the pain of just anyway, you feel that feeling when you come back, and it's so delightful for everybody, right? Like they're running into your arms, they're so excited to see you and all that. And I think the hard part of that is you know that that's important, and you know it's helpful for you to have that recharge, that reset, that you time. But you also know that we're curating their childhood. We're in charge of everything that is going to be their memories of growing up, of their childhood. And you want, luckily for us, you like to be around the family, you know, like you like to do things together. And part of that challenge is when you have the time that you can go take to yourself, you're like, oh man, but I want to like have family time too. So the trade-off with that is a big challenge. So in your eyes, what is the balance? Like, how can you insert, what is it going to take for you to be able to say, all right, I'm going to do once a week, I'm going to have a day or half a day or whatever it is to myself, for me, to recharge, to show up better, blah, blah, blah. Like, what would that take?
I think I'm more open to those kind of days when I feel like I'm overstimulated, or like when I feel like I'm getting pushed there. You know, not just just because. Yeah, it's not. It's more like a.
It's when you get 86th from the house. Hey, you're done, kid. Get out of here.
Yeah, but like I feel like, I don't know. I think a lot of the times I don't feel like I need that day, right? Like I don't need those days to like recharge and like, oh my gosh, I just need time to myself, kind of thing. Like, like the 5 or 10 minutes, like just throughout like the day is fine. Usually, if I just get some kind of movement in, I'm better for everybody.
Fact. That is.
So
that
like,
is pre-kids.
Yeah.
That's
always
with kids. Yeah, you need.
If I get some kind of movement in my day, for me, I mean, whether the kids are there or not, depending on what equipment I'm using, that's just a reset for me. But yeah, I don't think I ever feel like I need that.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that you're
just like
so pent up that it's that's pretty rare. But I
mean, like I said, next year I might need those a lot more since I'll be free.
Yeah, you're gonna be free from breastfeeding. We're gonna have some lined up. We already have some lined up for you.
Yeah,
the women's.
Yeah,
the women.
I don't get to that, but yeah. Plus, again, like with him being our first, it was just like, man, like, you know, being aware, how would it go, and do you have everything, and you know, all this stuff. But like, you know, with the second one, we're a little more like, you know. Well, I think that's
just smothering with a pillow back there.
Is he? What is he?
No, I'm just making the joke.
No, but you know, like I think just second board, so many people can relate, right? It's just like, you know, you're so like with the first one, and then the second one, you're like, he's changed, he's fed,
basics are covered.
Yeah, like he's good.
Let him explore, let him be free, let him wrestle with the brother.
Himself a little bit, you know.
Yeah, for sure. So your need for processing guilt, just apply the self-care day sooner. As the pressure cooker's building up.
Honestly, a lot of the times I think it's just sharing it with you, because like if I don't share it, I feel more guilty. You know, it's just like, fuck, I fucked up with the kids this way, and then like, oh, I'm gonna hide it from you, like, you know. Yeah.
He'll never know.
And then it's like, well, he could talk now. He could be like, mommy, you know, and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that.
It's okay, mommy. You could drop F-bombs. It's okay.
Yeah, but it's funny though, because he knows when the F-bomb is there, and he's just like, oh shit.
Yeah. You know, in the bigger picture, generationally, how do you feel you're doing compared to your parents?
I don't know. That's like such different times. Like, I don't even know. Like, I don't even think that could be a fair comparison. You know, like, and we have so many more resources now, and like so much information and like education and knowledge. Like, it's not even a fair comparison. But I mean, I feel like they raised us well. We all turned out decent.
Yeah,
and I mean, you know, my parents, so
I love your parents, and I think, you know, as I asked that question, I was like, I wonder what my thoughts on this same exact question are with your parents specifically.
Yeah.
And
so you know how they are, you know.
Well, I know how they are now, but I don't know how they were raising you, right? Like, my parents are different now than when they raised us.
I mean,
same with yours, and so I just think, even though all things different, all things changed. Of course, the life and everything was totally different, but there's also I was chatting with Pops 2 nights ago, and I was talking to him about how there's a lot of stuff that I take from him and from Mom that it's either build it or burn it. It's like, oh man, I love how my Pops he was stern with us, he was firm with us, he was like the hand at home, you know, like that, like immovable one, you know. And I love that, and I want to build upon that. But there's also stuff that I want to burn down. You know, I was sharing this with him. We were talking about some of these things, and I was like, yeah, you know, like this aspect where kind of did think. One of them was we were talking about passions, because he's picked up guitar recently. He's really, really in it. He loves it. And he's like, yeah, you know, I'm kind of, that's my thing right now. You know, I didn't, for so many years, it was just all you guys. I didn't have, you know, and I was telling him that's one of the things I want to burn down. Is there's always room for you to have a passion. That doesn't mean that you can't prioritize your kids, you know, and what pursuits they have or they're after or whatever, right? And I'm so thankful that he did err on that side he did for us, for me, the brothers, you know, my sisters. Like, that's a great way for us that he erred, but for him, maybe not so much, right? So that's one of the things I want to burn down, is I want to make sure I always have a passion, or I always have a pursuit of something. And if it comes mine or theirs, then it's like, okay, there will be moments where I can't go do my thing and we got to get out to their stuff. That's fine, but I'm still going to have my thing. So that's one of the ones I want to burn down. And he was in agreement with that. Like, yeah, that, you know, that makes total sense. And I wish that I had done that too. And that makes, you know, he was like totally supportive of it. But so there's stuff that to like build on or burn down. And when I think about this with your parents, from my perspective, as they are now, not knowing details or whatever, like with your guys' upbringing, I think of more things I want to build upon than, burn that down.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really have stuff where I've heard stories or I see with your parents where I'm like, burn that down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure there's stuff. I'm unaware of it, or whatever the case may be. I know one of the kind of burn down things is just being more present, right? Like, your pops being a career Marine, he was out and about around the world and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that he shared is that, yeah, you know, I kind of wish that I was around more. And it wasn't as if, you know, just abandoning the family, but just like,
I know, but again, like, that's the parental, right? Because he shares that, and I'm like, well, I never felt like you were missing, you know, like you were, like, he was our coach for our softball team, like, he was always there for our games. He was, like, I think the times that mattered for us, I felt like he was always there. Like, it's not like, oh, graduation, where's my dad, or it's my birthday, where's my dad, you know. It's like, I don't recall any of those times like, oh, where the fuck is my dad, right? Like, he's there. So, like, that's his own parent guilt, right? I think, like, I don't know, I just always, like, I think parents just never feel like they're enough, like, in some aspect. They're just like, oh, I wasn't there enough, I wasn't blank enough. I think every good parent would feel that. Yeah,
I was gonna say there's a distinction, because a good parent would feel that, like, oh, baby, are you done with us talking?
I also feel like now there's so much more to be guilty about, right? Like, gentle parenting, and oh, you gave your kid this, they're eating this, you put them there, and they're in school, they're not in school. Like, there's just so...
They're watching a screen, they're not watching a screen.
Yeah, there's just
How are they going to learn technology if they don't know? They're not going to be kept up with it. Yeah. Plus, it's all on display, right? Like, our parents' generation, the blow-up moments, you don't have to relive. And, oh, buddy. All right. Well, I think that's going to be our cutoff. All right, good luck with your parent guilt. No, I do think it is. Good parents, parental guilt is unavoidable. But it's also a good indicator to, like, pay attention to this thing and work on that, or work through it as best you can. Thank you, Crushman, though.
Thank you. Stop ignoring our child.
Yeah.